To begin our yoga routine warm-up, we will start with our hands pressed together at heart center, creating force and energy between our palms. Reaching up to the ceiling, creating space as if holding a beach ball, we'll begin to rain our shoulders and arms down behind us, as if trying to pinch our elbows together behind our back, and staying active through our fingertips to enhance the energy flow between our whole kinetic body. Coming up on our last breath, we're going to rain ourselves all the way down to forward fold. And on your first inhale, reach your way up, midway up your leg, placing your palms down and keeping your back straight for one breath before releasing back down into forward fold, where we will then interlace our hands to elbows on opposite side and sway left to right, releasing any knots in our lower back. From here, we're going to walk ourselves to the top of the mat and find our way into tabletop position, untucking our toes and beginning a few cycles of cat-cow breaths. On each inhale, arching your spine and pressing everything towards the floor, reaching your head and nose up towards the ceiling. And on each exhale, pressing everything away from you, from the floor, arching your back like a cat, and exhaling your breath. Now we're going to spread our knees as wide as the mat, touching our big toes behind us and pressing our hips down to meet our heels, finding our way into child's pose. After a few breaths, we're going to bring our hands up to fingertips, and as we inhale and exhale, we're going to round our shoulders up and behind us, finding a nice stretch in our scapula, and releasing them down to the side as we exhale. Making our way back into tabletop position, we're going to thread the needle on both sides, keeping our hips up in the air, and with the opposite hand, reaching it up towards the top of the mat, keeping our hips centered and finding a nice stretch throughout our whole upper body. Release yourself from this position and find your way back into tabletop before performing the same movement on the other side. Making our way back into tabletop position, we're going to tuck our toes and kick our hips up into the sky into our first downward dog of the day. End of this routine, pedaling out our feet, reaching our heels down to the ground on both sides, and pressing our chest towards our hips. Once your breath is regained, hurdle yourself over into full plank and lower yourself down to the mat. Untuck your toes and press yourself up into cobra position. Here you'll find a nice stretch in your lower back. And in Sphinx pose, we're going to draw a line just like in cat-cow, with our nose up to the ceiling, finding rhythm with our breath once again, and a nice stretch in our mid-back. After a few cycles of breath, we're going to press ourselves up into full plank and kick our hips back into downward dog before performing our first chaturanga, and then back into downward dog. From here, walk your feet all the way up to the top of the mat to meet your hands. Find a nice deep stretch and roll yourself up to standing again, one column, one vertebrae at a time, reaching up to the ceiling and ending our warm-up.